You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Grown-ups, if there's a child in your life who is interested in, curious about, or fascinated by people and places from history, then my podcast, The Past and the Curious, might just be a hit in your home. From the invention of microscopes to world-traveling dogs to fashions of the 1890s, gold rush ghost towns, and audiences going wild for walking competitions, we've got a little bit of it all. Hosted by children's author and museum educator Mick Sullivan, that's me, the show is fun, funny, engaging, honest, and beloved by kids and parents alike. Find The Past and the Curious at all the usual podcast places.
No one hates history, they just haven't found the right teacher yet. Or in this case, a nerdy best friend who loves to tell you all about world history, women's history, and weird history. Hi, I'm TK, the creator of For the Love of History podcast, a place for people who want to learn more but don't know where to start, and history lovers who want to break from the mainstream. From rat trials to warrior women, we cover topics from every country and era. Whether you're a history expert or just starting out, there's a place for you here in the Time Machine. So join me every Friday on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube for a brand new topic. See you there. Bye.
This episode is brought to you by our Patreon members. Thank you so much.
Join our Patreon for extra episodes, interviews, extra content, and to help support the podcast and help us continue to do the work we do.
Go to patreon.com/ancienthistoryfangirl to learn more.
Look, I just want to have the couple fucking a ballroom right now, okay?
I'm Jenny Williamson.
And I'm Jen McMenemy, and this is Ancient History Fangirl, the Smutty Book Club edition.
Woohoo!
It is our inaugural Smutty Book Club episode. We are so excited to bring this to you. We know that so many of you also enjoy a good romance novel, and we are here to curate and give you the best ones out there, aren't we, Jenny?
We are just here to give the people what they want, as long as what they want is smut. Let's be clear. History and mythology-based smut.
Occasionally a true story.
Occasionally true stories. Yes, we are so thrilled to welcome #1 Sunday Times bestselling author Elizabeth May to the podcast and to the book club. Welcome.
Hello, hi.
As I wave in a podcast medium.
I also wave. Hello.
Elizabeth May is the instant #1 bestseller of To Cage a God, as well as the best-selling Seven Devils Duet. She writes adult romance, smoldering Regency romances with spice, murder, and mystery under the name Katrina Kendrick. She has also written the YA Falconer trilogy about a badass heroine and deadly, sexy fae. We are so excited to have Elizabeth on as our first inaugural guest and looking forward to talking all things romance, dark fantasy, drawing worlds from history, and the spicy spice. Welcome to the podcast, Elizabeth.
It's nice to be here. Hi, guys.
Hi, welcome.
We're going to rip the Band-Aid off right away. Our first question that Jenny wrote for you is, how did you get started writing smut?
Oh, God. Okay. I mean, it's like, the better question is, when did I get started, reading smut? So,
we'll go there.
Okay.
That was our second question.
I was actually I wasn't the smut bit that I was scared of, because I have always read smut, but mostly it was how does one write romance? Because I think that a lot of people think that it's easy, but it is a really difficult, it's a really difficult genre to write and do well, because of all of the
Hard degree.
Yes, the character work that needs to be done. The characters have to take the entire book. So, how did I get into it? I was just okay, I'm going to experiment and see whether or not I can even do it. And at the time, I had written, my YA trilogy. And so I was known for that. And nobody knew me for romance or smut books. And so I was just okay, I'm just going to do a secret pen name and just give it a go. So nobody knows who I am. And if it's a complete failure and people hate it, then I don't even have to acknowledge that it happened. So I started self-publishing under the name Katrina Kendrick. And, people liked it. And so then I just publicly was like, hey, so I write romance under this secret pen name.
I acknowledge my wayward pen name.
Yes, I acknowledge this secret pen name that I have been writing smut under.
What were your inspirations early on? Like, what books did you absolutely devour? Speaking of, when did you get started reading smut? Like, what's your smutty origin story?
My smutty origin story is so funny because actually the very first romance smut book I ever read was Julia Quinn's The Duke and I, which is the first Bridgerton first season of Bridgerton. Yes. And I had never read it before, and I probably should not have read it because I was 12 years old. But that was when there was there were no rules in the library. You could be 12 and in the romance.
Same thing. My mom was the town librarian, and I would steal the books. I would steal them, I would hide them under my bed, and my mom would occasionally clean it out.
Yeah, so it's I had already been basically kind of broken in by flowers in the attic, which is not a romance, but I was just all right, there's the
Oh no.
the intimate scene in that. Intimate is a very nice way of putting it.
That is a very diplomatic way of putting it. I feel like Flowers in the Attic is one of those books that went round and round the schoolyard, and I sound like a million years old. But who hasn't read that amongst our age?
Oh my God, whom amongst us did not read that book like giggling with their friends? Everybody did. Everybody did.
The rumors, the stories of it, and then you finally got that book and you were like, this is really fucked up. And you kept reading it and you're like, it's so messed up.
Oh my God, it's so messed up. I've read it several times now. As an adult, as a child, I've read it several times. It's so messed up. I got into historical romance by reading Julia Quinn books, and then I just got I read everything, probably every book in that section of the library. It was a really cool time in the 90s when romance was super weird as well. So there was these futuristic romances. There are some that I cannot remember, but they were really weird. There was one romance I read where there was it was in the future, and there was sex Olympics. Literal sex Olympics.
Oh my God.
What is this book? I must read it.
So weird. There was weird shit. I'm damn, does anybody remember the title of this one? Anyway, if anybody remembers the title of this one, send it to me.
Yeah, and me.
So yeah, that was the start, me being 12 and and that's, I never stopped. There
oh my
you go.
God, that is incredible. Also very relatable.
There was a point at which my mom was just should you be reading these? And I'm I'm reading.
That's exactly what my mom said. She's well, I guess she's reading.
That my mom was the same. My mom was I don't care what you read as long as it's not really violent. I was oh, okay. I don't know why violence is somehow worse than what I'm reading in the romance genre, but okay.
My mom was just please just don't tell me what you're reading, and then we don't have to talk about it. And you know what? That was probably for the best, because at some point I did try to dip my toes into the Beauty series by Anne Rice, and I was just nope. That was 15-year-old me, and I was this is actually crosses my line. I had a boundary at 15.
That was when you're my safe word is no beauty.
My safe word is no thanks.
So To Cage a God has been described as inspired by Imperial Russia. Is there any real life history or mythology that you draw on and use in your work?
So yeah, there's tons of real life history kind of built into the plot of To Cage a God. So a lot of it has to do with the Romanovs, and then there's plenty that has to do with kind of mid-century, mid-19th century revolutionaries in To Cage a God. It also draws from Russian folklore with Slavic dragons. They're called Zmi. So they're kind of more dragon spirits. They kind of they have a physical form, which is the lizard form, but they also are kind of like spirits that live in people, and they're kind of like sinister and evil. But one thing I really appreciated about Slavic dragon folklore is the fact that they often like are in really sexy dudes. So
Hot.
they like really get this, okay? And they're often like really sexy villainous dudes. And sometimes they are in very sexy villainous ladies, but they're often villainous. And so yeah, and so I'm just like this, it's very good kind of like folklore background for dragon romance. But in this case, I was just like, yeah, let's just put them, in the royal family, and the royal family very heavily draws from the Romanov history, which is a mess. If you know anything about the Romanovs, the entire history is a mess, and especially pre-revolutionary history, and when the serfdom was in existence, and then when they abolished the serfdom and people started getting educated, so a lot of the revolutionaries started off in colleges, so Takeda God addresses that a bit. And it kind of goes into the different sects of revolutionaries. One being, these really like violent revolutionaries who would use bombs in their attacks against the royals. And the other sects of revolutionaries that were more like intellectuals that preferred more peaceful methods and that sort of thing. So it goes into like all of these kind of different figures that kind of represent the various different aspects of that part of Russian history.
That is so fascinating. Like, what part of the history drew you in the most, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like there's so much known about kind of like the Romanovs and that aspect of history that I really kind of wanted to focus more on the revolutionary aspect. And it's a very complicated history with revolutionaries, because I often feel that in fantasy media or in sci-fi media, and I have done this as well, revolutionaries are kind of seen basically as like the good guys, and there's very little introspection on like the very often cruel methods that real revolutionaries would participate in to advance their agendas. And so my goal was to kind of discuss that in some ways, revolutionaries did participate in a lot of bloodshed. Revolutionaries did not necessarily, some of them did not necessarily care about the people who got hurt in the process. And so, yes, that has created some situations with readers not liking certain characters because of those aspects. But I wanted to explore them in this book, and kind of bring those questions in, because revolutionaries are so often seen as like the underdog in fantasy. And I wanted to discuss that even the underdog is not necessarily like always morally good. It's always going to be morally gray, especially in revolutionary history.
And that's one of the things I really loved about the book and about what you're doing, because I love looking and interrogating that in history. In the podcast, all the times we cover a revolution, it's usually me being like, I want to cover this massive thing. And, two of the big revolutions we covered were Spartacus and Boudica. And, as much as I'm pro Spartacus and pro Boudica, like, they did not care who got in their path when they were revolting. And, rightly so, they're very angry about a lot of things, but they also committed some awful, awful crimes against people. You have to look at that complexly too. I mean, there's a lot of moral gray stuff that happens. You have to think about what that progress and what that change looks like, not just in the movement, but also on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of like at a certain point, I just kind of have to accept that, like, it's going to set somebody's buttons off. I was like, I'm just like, you know what? This is for me. I don't care. So it's like one of the scenes in the book. I hope this is not spoiling anything, but I mean, if you know anything about Russian history, I'm just gonna say it. So there is a scene where the love interest basically explodes an entire ballroom of nobles. And I mean, to him, it's like an entire ballroom of nobles. They're all dead. Awesome. Like, does not care. And I actually drew from a real event that happened with the royal family, where they almost sat down to a dinner, but they were a bit late. And so a bomb went off, what was supposed to go off while they were sat down to dinner, and it was supposed to kill them all. So yeah, so I mean, real things like that did happen. And and so it was important to me not to try to moralize, that kind of position, because when it's like when you're in that situation and you see like people being oppressed, and you're in, this perpetual war system where people are enslaved, where people are, starving and that sort of thing, like, to him, it made this character, it made sense. It makes moral sense. It just seems like a bad thing because we are viewing it from the perspective of the other characters in the story who are like, this is not great for us.
And that's what's so great about sort of morally, like one of the things I love about romance, and particularly darker romance, is the sort of moral gray area, where you have these characters who each, they feel like they have done the right thing for their reasons, and you totally side with them for their reasons. But also you're like, that was maybe not the right thing to do.
Right. Maybe you're making bad choices in the moment, buddy, but I can really talk myself into siding with the villain like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I'm like this, whether or not this romance hits for you is like whether or not you're okay with a villain romance. And that's just not going to be some people's preference. And I get that, but totally fine. But that's mine.
Yeah, no, I absolutely feel this. Yes. I'm writing something with very similar moral conundrums right now because it's Alaric of the Visigoths sacking a bunch of cities.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The main moral driver is my hero and heroine have real different ideas about how much sacking and plunder exactly needs to happen. Yeah. So I totally relate to this like how do I do this exactly? And like what's that line to walk? But I've decided I'm just writing the free-for-all first draft and see where my cards land.
Oh, just go for it. Yeah, just go for it. Make them terrible people. Who cares?
They're more fun.
Thank you for the permission. I needed that.
Not every character needs to be a good person.
No, maybe none of them are in my book. I don't know. If that's your jam, sign up for my mailing list.
I mean, my point of view is that I don't know. I like writing from the perspective of morally gray characters or just straight up bad people. It's okay. Not everybody needs to be a hero.
Exactly.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Throughout history, royals across the world were notorious for incest. They married their own relatives in order to consolidate power and keep their blood blue. But they were oblivious to the havoc all this inbreeding was having on the health of their offspring. From Egyptian pharaohs marrying their own sisters to the Habsburgs' notoriously oversized lower jaws. I explore the most shocking incestuous relationships and tragically inbred individuals in royal history. And that's just episode 1. On the History Tea Time podcast, I profile remarkable queens and LGBTQ+ royals, explore royal family trees, and delve into women's medical history and other fascinating topics. I'm Lindsay Holiday, and I'm spilling the tea on history. Join me every Tuesday for new episodes of the History Tea Time podcast, wherever fine podcasts are enjoyed.
So we've talked about Katrina Kendrick a little bit, and we talked about why you switched your names for that line. And I wanted to see, other than history versus romantasy, like they're kind of different genres within the romance space, are you working with different tropes as Katrina Kendrick than you are with the Elizabeth May name? Like, are you working with darker versus lighter romance? Anything like that?
I definitely think that they're similar in terms of darkness because my Katrina books, despite being historical romance, kind of integrate, murder and crime and PTSD and lots of difficult topics. So I definitely draw on the same tropes, but they're expressed a bit differently just because there isn't as much world building kind of involved in the Katrina books. So the hero and the heroine of the Katrina books kind of tend to spend more time together. And then for my Elizabeth May books, I mean, I have to kind of talk about future books because I only really have To Cage a God as my first proper like fantasy romance, but I have like, a lot coming out, in the next year or two. And that I'm trying to like skirt around. I do think that fantasy allows me to kind of explore the morally gray themes a bit more, just because the landscape and the world building allows me to do that. If you have heroes or heroines kind of like committing a bit more murder, it makes more sense in a fantasy world in some ways than it does in, Victorian era London.
Although, so murdery.
I would say that's a real murdery time.
There is still some murderings happening in Victorian era London, but not quite on the scale. Not quite on the same scale as what we're talking about for my fantasy.
We're doing great here.
We're doing great. I do tend to go for like, I don't know what it is with me and like going for like the scoundrels or like the con artists, the spies.
Oh, I love a con artist, man.
Oh yes, I do have a con artist. That's a second chance romance where he conned his love interest out of her money and by marrying her, and she got pissed about it.
That is To Tempt a Scoundrel, and I just read it while I was in the Dominican Republic last week. It was lovely. It was the perfect accompaniment.
Oh, brilliant.
Highly recommended beach reading.
I'm glad to hear it. That one I think is actually quite like, it's quite soft for its topic. Soft. It's soft for me.
Yeah, I would say like the romance was pretty soft, but there was also quite a bit of there was some murder, there was some crime bossing, there was some con artistry. I decided to bring that one along because I also love a good con artist. Oh my gosh, I love that. I want to write a novel about two con artists getting together at some point.
Oh yeah. I do have one plan that's like a thief and a former con artist. And they both are like working for the British government, and they both irritate the shit out of each other. I love it.
Enemies to lovers. I love that too. Of all the romance that you have written, which couple or book or series potentially did you fall the hardest for?
Oh, so I can't talk about this yet.
Of the ones you could talk about, perhaps.
Okay. Because I'm just like, I did write one recently. I finished a project recently where I'm just like, I love this. This is all of the things that I love in a couple. They banter together. She irritates him. I would say that out of the ones that I've already written, it's really hard to say because there are certain aspects about each different couple that I quite like. Like I quite like Sarah and Vitaly because, they're both kind of quite scoundrelly, and they both very murdery and stabby together, especially in the sequel where they get to like be more stabby together.
I love it when they get stabby together.
They're both chaos gremlins together. Just, yeah. And then, there's Galena and Vasilisa who are very soft together, and they like, and they bond with like their difficulties, and I just like that softness as well. So I don't know. I can't have a favorite. How can I choose between my children?
Well, I mean, it is a fair answer because when we write these books, we have to fall in love with these characters. Like, we have to wholly give our hearts. So, I mean, I guess that's why I have a hard time writing two books at once, because I wouldn't say I'm necessarily monogamous in relationships all the time, but I am monogamous about my characters.
Yeah, I can do two books at once, but not in the same genre.
Oh God, I know this feeling so well.
Yeah, so it's like my Katrina books are half the length of my Elizabeth May books. So when I go to them, it's like a little treat. It's like I've already written my Elizabeth May books, and it's like there's this intense world building, and like this characterization in relation to the world building. And I'm like, look, I just want to have the couple fuck in a ballroom right now, okay? I go back to my Katrina books. I apparently made a bunch of people in like the Bloomsbury Head of Zeus offices blush, because I just like every time I finish with an Elizabeth May book and I go back to a Katrina book, I'm just like, look, I just want this couple to like have sex in like all the places. In a lake, in a train, in the middle of a crowded ballroom with nothing but a curtain separating them from everybody else.
In a lake, in a train. Yeah.
in a public display, like, what was it? I think I had like a not a museum, like having them fuck in a museum. I don't know.
That's an ideal place.
Actually, I think that brings together all of my interests.
There's like an alcove somewhere. They'll fuck in it. I don't like.
Yeah.
I definitely I keep saying this on threads, but I'm just like, if there's a ballroom scene in one of my Katrina Kendrick books, they're gonna fuck in it. Like, just like, straight up, that's gonna happen somewhere.
Apparently for me, that is caves.
Yes, there is so much cave sex. It's a lot, Jenny.
Actually, I whittled it down in book 1 of my series about Alaric of the Visigoths. There were several times where they fucked in a cave, and I think right now it's just once. But there were like 3 times in early drafts.
You know what? Okay, I will give it to you on caves because it's like dark, you're alone, it echoes, like you can't help it.
Kind of vaginal, you know?
There's a metaphor going on there.
Theoretically, it's all steamy, like, because in at least one of the 3 caves, there was like a natural hot tub situation going on.
Oh, nice.
Yep, little thermal spring happening. I don't know, that is sexy to me.
Some thermal sex.
Is all the liquids being exchanged right now?
Yeah.
So speaking of
Jenny.
Jen is blushing.
I know. I can't help it. It's just the red hair.
So speaking of sex scenes, let's talk sex scenes. Do you find sex scenes easier, challenging to write, or does it depend?
Yeah, no, I don't know about easy, but they're my favorite things to write.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Do you ever start a book just thinking, oh yeah, see, this is the one where in this sex scene is going to happen, and I'm super excited for that part?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
like you read the back, you picture what sex scenes you're probably going to get, and you're like, yes, bot, done.
so when I come up with the characters, there is part of their characterization includes where they are most likely to fuck. So it's like, you know how there are like certain aspects of a character. It's like, this character has green eyes. This character has dark hair. Where would they most be likely to fuck? And, you know, because I really want to get excited about like my sex scenes. Like, I want them to feel different in each book. I don't want them to feel the same. And the best way to get a different kind of sex scene is by choosing different places for them to fuck, different situations for them to fuck, and having the best time writing it. So, like, middle of a ballroom, you know, they have to go to an alcove. Who might hear them? They might be caught. You know, that kind of tension.
Not supposed to be there, might get caught any second. Yeah.
What happens if they're caught?
Yeah, it's great if they're caught. I do have one situation where they're caught. And you know, it's just like, are they thieves? Maybe they could fuck while casing a place. I don't know. Like, yes. So it's just like, I feel that, you know, it really irritates me a lot when people say things like, you know, the sex isn't necessary or that sort of thing. And it's like, maybe in some books that's true. But for me, sex is a big part of like the characterization in my books. It's really important for me to kind of develop sex scenes like in accordance to the kind of characters that I'm creating, because the sex is where they come together in like dynamic situations. There's going to be a push and pull. I don't want my sex scenes to be like dry and like same. I want them to interact with each other, not just with dirty speak, but with like pushing and pulling and like clothes tearing off. There is the couple that I was talking about earlier that is like my current fave that I can't really like name at the moment, but there is this entire running joke that like he is defeated by a lady's undergarments, that he is just incapable of removing them in any normal way, and he is just like this like total like badass. Everybody is terrified of him, and so he like cuts her clothes off, and it's like all sexy, but it's just because he doesn't know how to remove clothes. It's like his weakness.
Hot.
When did he ever learn? Never, because he's always cut them off.
That would get very expensive if you were his like full-time lover. You'd be like, can we stop now?
Oh yes, no, I mean, yeah, it's like she always jokes that he has like zero capability of like sparing her wardrobe, and that he will always just like have to buy her new dresses every day. Yeah, but I mean, like, I always end up coming up with like different like sexy scenarios in books, different locations. You know, you gotta make the best of those sexy. And so yeah, and then I like really build them up in my mind. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get to that part, and it's gonna be so amazing. I love writing sexy, and so I can talk about them all day.
So, what are some of your favorite sex scene tropes versus some of your maybe sex scene pet peeves?
Oh, I don't. Do I have any pet peeves? I mean, other than the like, I would say just like my main pet peeve is like weird words for certain parts of the anatomy. Although I do get like some people who get super pissy with me about using the word pussy in my Katrina books. I'm like, it's historically accurate. Why wouldn't I use it? They used pussy. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a weird strain of people still being a little bit uncomfortable with women's anatomy and pleasure when they're, because pussy sounds dirtier to them than like cock or something.
it's a really interesting thing that I have noticed where you're never going to be able to please like everyone with a certain word with like any word for a woman's and or for like that specific part of your body. People seem okay with cock for the most part. But like on the other hand, we have like pussy, we have cunt, and like people are just like, no, you can't use those. And then it's like, then you start like kind of like bringing it down. It's like, okay, well, what can you use? Just like vague parts. I don't know, down there, bundle of nerves for the clitoris. I don't know. Like, it's just like entered her, which is like fine, I'm not gonna like hate on those, but like I just don't want to be hated on for using pussy.
I think you should be able to use pussy. I mean, we're talking about sex. Like, why can't you talk about pussies? What's wrong with pussies? Nothing.
I don't know. It's like I think that people seem to think that the Victorians were not dirty, and I am here to tell you that they were fucking filthy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in antiquity, we deal with this all the time where people's like, oh, I'm like, no, they were all fucking filthy. Let me tell you about the history of dildos, okay?
Oh my God, they seem to think that like every person in the Victorian era was like Queen Victoria. And I'm like, no, she was like uniquely insane.
And she also had a lot of children, so.
Yeah, but I would say that like my favorite tropes in sex are, oh goodness. I have a lot of favorites. I do like, okay, so, it's like I write fantasy, so I do like the bond thing that happens in fantasy. I don't know what it is about the bond thing for me. It's like a mystical bond where they like feel each other's arousal, where it's like they're like mentally bonded and like that sort of thing. I don't know what it is about that. It just kills me. And I do love it when the hero and the heroine kind of like geek out together. There is this entire scene in this book by Sherry Thomas called Luckiest Lady in London that lives rent-free in my head. And it is the heroine getting super horny watching the hero write mathematics on the whiteboard or on the chalkboard, teaching her math and talking about like logarithms or some math shit that's like calculus, advanced calculus, and she's just getting so horny watching him, and then they fuck against the chalkboard. It's great.
It's super hot. It's just super hot.
Right? There's something sexy about a hero intensely concentrating on a complicated thing, and then it's like, he could put that to use on me.
Yeah, no, it's like I have zero interest in math. I don't know what it is about math. I just, I think I probably have dyscalculia or something like that. But reading about like, I don't know, like a mathematically inclined hero or mathematically inclined heroine, just like that is my catnip. Love that to death, especially when they go at it together. I did write one book that's coming up this year later. The hero and the heroine are actually code breakers. And yes, this book required an immense amount of research for literally one sex scene that I wrote where they play a game of break the code while I strip. So it's like for every word that you code break, I will take off a piece of my clothing. And then if you decode the entire letter, I will fuck you. So it is a very erotic scene. involving lots of mathematics, and I had to do like weeks of
I love
research
this.
to do this sex scene.
Is this going to be a Katrina Kendrick or a Elizabeth May book?
This is a Katrina Kendrick book.
I love that one of your favorite sex tropes is math.
Math. It's math. There's also like just like any kind of like teaching geeky scene. There is one that Julianne Long wrote, and I can't remember the book at the moment, but her hero teaches the heroine Italian. And just like the teaching atmosphere, I don't know what it is about the teaching atmosphere. It's the teaching atmosphere. There's an authority figure here.
The power dynamics. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but it cannot, for me, it's not okay for me. I can't do, for some reason, like teacher student, unless it's in a historical context where they're like equals. You know what I mean?
This isn't like a teacher-student type thing. This is like a teaching me something. We're equals, but I don't know like X, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then the sex at the desk afterward, always.
No, that's the payoff.
If you have a desk in a scene.
Someone is going to fuck on that desk.
Oh, yes. No, if there is a desk there, the desk is going to be used. The desk is always going to be used.
Right, like if there's a wall, people are going to fuck against that wall.
Is there a wall? Is there a door?
Pele, Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes, fire, and rebirth.
Maeve, Celtic warrior queen and nemesis of heroes.
Kiyohime, Japanese fire-breathing snake demon.
Pesta, Norwegian spirit of the Black Death. Our book, Women of Myth, is a fascinating look at women and femme characters in world mythology, including goddesses, heroines, and monsters. With captivating illustrations by Ringo Award-nominated artist Sarah Richard, it's the perfect gift for the mythology lover in your life, including yourself.
Find Women of Myth wherever books are sold.
Whether you bond over streaming binge-worthy videos, watching sports recaps, video gaming, or by unplugging altogether, the 2026 Lincoln Nautilus Hybrid helps keep you connected throughout your journey. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Available connectivity features and functionality vary by model. Package pricing, trials, and term lengths vary by model. Video streaming and games are only available while parked.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Question. I actually skipped this one, but I really wanted to ask you this. Why dukes? Why are we all so into dukes? What is it about dukes?
So I would say that it's like dukes are like the Victorian and like, you know, like the historical version of like billionaire romances. Like it hits the same buttons. And I think that like there is, for a lot of people, there is a particular fantasy of like being financially stable.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Yes. Fuck yeah.
Yes. And so it's like part of the fantasy where it's just like, sure, the hero can cut her clothes off and you don't have to fucking worry about the fact that, you kind of need clothes. He can just buy more clothes.
He's going to buy you more clothes. He's clothes daddy.
It's an appealing fantasy. And I think with regards to like dukes, there's the prestige of the title. I mean, I don't give a shit about that, but like it definitely is like the whole like rich billionaire landowning thing, but more about the financial security. Because I think at the moment, I mean, I did write a romance. So my upcoming romance is actually a duke and his wife, which is a second chance romance. But other than that, most of my couples so far are like a commoner marrying up. probably for that reason of me fantasizing about financial security.
That is so hot. So Jen and I have a joke. I'm going to tell her about the wine daddy.
Oh, you can tell her about Wine Daddy.
Please tell me about the wine daddy.
Okay, so wine daddy is when you are in the airport and you want a glass of wine, but the wine is like $20 a glass. And so wine daddy is the guy who's like, you know what? Get wine. Get 2 wines. I'm your wine daddy. It doesn't matter. I just want you to be happy. I'll spend any amount of money to just see you happy. The element of being taken care of is very sexy. Like the fantasy of being financially taken care of. Like, I feel like in the real world, it's a little bit, in my experience, a little bit dangerous sometimes because you can become financially dependent on that person. But like in the fantasy world, it is quite hot, and it's fun to just fantasize about all the good things that come along with that. And so Jen and I will text her in the airport and I'm like, am I going to be my own wine daddy on this trip? And she usually texts me back, yes, you are.
I always text you back, fuck yeah, you are.
I also think that part of it is like if you've come from a place of like financial insecurity, suddenly having all the money available to you means being able to buy things that you wouldn't have been able to buy or support causes that you may not have been able to previously support. You know, all of my heroines kind of have dreams about like what they would do with like money or the heroes have dreams about what they would do with money. You know, Nick in Tempting the Scoundrel, his entire thing is that he needs her money not for himself, but for his like community, his friends who are all kind of like, you know, paying for protection from this really bad man in that part of the city. And so his entire thing is using the money to essentially like get them out. You know, and so I think that's like part of the fantasy is not just, you know, the financial security, it's being able to actually utilize that money for other things. I think part of it as well is there's like a certain, I don't know, there is an appeal when I am writing to be able to have like the, you know, one of the characters say like, you know, oh, just like do whatever you want, buy whatever you want. Like I remember one of the like endearing traits about Reese Winterbourne, Lisa Kleypas's one of Lisa Kleypas's heroes from Marrying Winterbourne. Love that book, highly recommend it. One of my absolute all-time favorites is the fact that like he comes from a lower class background and he's become rich. So he's like worked his way up and like owns a department store and like keeps sweets in his pockets. So like when, you know, it's like he's always offering people sweets. And there's a certain appeal, like that book really talks a lot about that aspect of the fantasy, like this suddenly like having money available to you where you didn't have it previously. And I think that's definitely like the Duke appeal. It definitely comes with like, you know, you have to essentially at certain points address the fact that also all of their money comes from like exploitation. That's part of something that like a lot of people like to ignore in historicals. I do bring it up briefly in my book about the Duke, and you know, it's like, yeah, it's like something that like a lot of people don't want to talk about, but it is a reality in that kind of romance as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Here's another question. What is it? Because I feel like this is also having a moment here, and you also wrote a book with this. What is it about dragons? Why are we all so into dragons?
Oh, dragons. I think it's like, why are we into like wolf shifters? I was discussing this with my husband actually. I was like, what is it about predatory shifters in particular that appeals to people? Because you don't see prey shifters as often, like heroes as prey shifters. With dragons, I'm just discussing like dragons in like a shifter sense, but I guess there are like the dragon riders with fourth wing and that sort of thing, but that's not really like that's less what I'm into. I'm more of a shifter person.
That's true, because To Cage of God is kind of a dragon shifter romance.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of think that the appeal is really interesting to me, how often, you know, when we discuss like shifters, yeah, they're like predatory animals. So it's like you have the wolves, you have the panthers, the dragon shifters, like all of these predatory animals, but you don't have like some guy turning into like a deer or like a goose.
It's not sexy. That's why.
Yes, I do think that like the sexiness is a big part of the appeal of like shifters, and I think dragon shifters in particular have a certain appeal because they're extra. They're extra. You can like ride them. They can fly. Have you guys ever seen this Russian fantasy film called I Am Dragon?
No.
No.
Oh my god. Okay, so I am obsessed with this movie, and I probably feel like it has influenced me way too much into Cage of God. But also, like, my friend LR Lamb introduced me to this movie, and LR Lamb is like also obsessed with it and will use every opportunity to tell you about it. It is about a very sexy guy who turns into a dragon. And the entire movie is about the heroine essentially teaching him how to like behave like a human person.
Oh, I see why you like this. It's the dragon trope, and it's also the teaching trope.
It is the teaching trope, and also he never wears a shirt.
That's the trifecta.
She does not teach him to wear clothes. I Am Dragon, Russian language fantasy movie, sexy dragon guy in it. And that one movie explains all of the appeal of dragon shifters. I do think that like the dragon, like, you know, it's like there are extra powers involved, not just shifting powers. So they have the fire powers and that sort of thing. In Cage of God, they utilize all of these other different kinds of powers as well. But they also are like very animalistic and like very like, there's a feral aspect to it that I think has a certain appeal sex-wise. It always comes back to sex.
Not to out myself as someone who reads a lot of filthy comics on Manta, but as someone who reads a lot of filthy comics on Manta, that whole dragon lover trope is really in there. And like they really play with all the different elements. And like if you're a dragon of different things like water, what you can do in the sex aspect with your water powers.
I will say that one thing that comes up in the sequel of Cage of God, and I keep kind of discussing like dragons and shifters and predatory shifters as a more masculine thing. And I think they kind of like tend to communicate like these traditionally kind of like masculine in the traditional sense tropes, very growly, very possessive, you know, like very jealous and that sort of thing. But in Cage of God book 2, which, you know, I don't think this is like really spoilery because all of the main females characters in the book are all bonded to dragons, and the one guy is not. He's just not bonded to anything. And so his wife gets like in the second book like super possessive, growly, you know, like
touch him and die. I was thinking about that sort of like, why do we see so many predator shifters and not a lot of prey? And I will say in world mythology, like when we did Women of Myth, we saw two really fascinating female characters who were essentially prey. There's like the deer woman in indigenous mythology in the US. And she's a woman who looks like a woman, and then she turns into a deer and lures men who are very bad men away from the community and kills them. And I kind of love the idea that she appears one way and then like she's also a prey animal. There's Aisha Kandisha, who is, I think they're just coming out with a book about her. She's Moroccan. She has, I think, camel hooves. She's the one who may or may not have been based on a real woman during Moroccan, I can't remember who they were fighting against.
I think it was the Portuguese. Yeah, and there's also Kiyohime, who I believe either Japanese mythology changes into a dragon or like a fire-breathing snake, right?
That's different. That has to do with female rage. Like, and I would say also, like, you know, the kitsune, they're foxes. And I don't think foxes are predators or prey. I think they're kind of something in between.
I think they're both.
Yeah, exactly. But what I found interesting was like the prey animals, particularly the ones that women turn into, a lot of times are to lure and to destroy men who are a threat. And I kind of find that fascinating.
Yeah, you know what? The luring is really fascinating to me. I'm just like, yeah, go for it.
I just love, you know, when you decide you need to trample a dude who's just been bad. Like, okay.
Let's talk about queer romance, because in Cage of God there is a gay and a straight relationship. Do you find writing queer romance different than straight? Do you like certain tropes more for one than another, or do you gravitate towards certain tropes more for one than another. What's your experience writing both?
I don't think I see them too much differently. I guess the dynamic might be a bit different, but one of my goals with Takeda God was essentially treat them equally. And I told this to my editor. I'm like, if I'm putting one sex scene in with one couple, I need to have a sex scene with the other couple. It is the balance of the universe intact. So, I mean, the only difference is to do with the difference in their characterizations. So just the way that like their sexual relationships play out or the way that they engage with each other is very different because their characters are very different.
Yeah, they're just different people.
Yeah, so it's like, with the straight couple, they're a bit more violent and like, they're both spies and assassins. So, their sexual encounters are more explosive and more clothes being torn off, that sort of thing. In the sapphic couple, because they're just a bit softer with each other, very, very tender. So yeah, I would say it's not necessarily different in terms of like, the way that I approach them because they're sapphic, but just the way that I approach them because of the way that their characters are. Because I would totally write two sapphic characters, the same way as Sarah and Vitaly play out if they were the spy and the assassin. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And when you have two characters in a book like that, you don't want them to be, just kind of clones of each other either. So I would, if it were me doing a book with two romances, I would probably gravitate towards making them very different, like regardless of whether, one was gay and one was straight.
Yeah. It's I didn't want to tread the same ground or the same dynamics when it came to those two. So yeah, it's like it can be a bit with some readers preferring one couple and that sort of thing. It's just because they're so different. It's definitely going to be one person's catnip is one couple, and then they might not like the other couple so much. And that was just the risk I took by putting two romances in it. But yeah, I really wanted to have both of those couples in and just kind of explore two different kinds of dynamics, especially since one of the couples has is as a member of the royal family, and she's involved with a spy who she doesn't know is a spy for a long time. So yeah, it was really interesting to be able to explore the two relationships, I guess, in terms of who they are as characters and also like their kind of place in the world as well. So yeah, like I really liked that, and I just didn't want to make them play out similarly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally does.
We wanted to just ask about maybe some of your favorite romance tropes. And my first question was, are you a fan of the slow burn or the insta love?
Oh, I definitely have liked both. I don't know that I have like a favorite. I guess it depends on like, the author, because sometimes I definitely feel like a slow burn can be too slow. I'm just like, okay, look, I love a slow burn, but you got to give me something in the process of a slow burn. I need like a kiss, a touch, and I need them to be like interacting a lot in some way, so then I feel like I'm being tortured. I love feeling like I'm being tortured. I don't want to feel like I am being strung along too much. Otherwise I start to get like there's a boundary for me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's like edging, right? Like
Yes. There's a line. I will give it like two books. I've had one author who like finally had like the burn hit in like the third book, and I'm like, yeah, I could give. Yeah.
The edging has to be so good. You just have to be dying for it for me to like wait for the third book.
Yeah. And she definitely like led up to it very well by like, increasing like the sexual tension. So that was quite nice. So there has to be like a sexual tension increase. If it's not, I'm just like, it's too slow. I do like insta love. I'm okay with that. But it needs to have like a lot of time together to develop like the actual relationship. I have read plenty of books where I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually prefer this because I don't want to have to I don't want to have to go too far into a book at the moment. My mind just needs to like have the couple together immediately. And I really appreciate those authors for giving me what I need in that moment. There is like, I don't know, I wouldn't call it like insta love. It's definitely like an insta lust situation. But one that I am thinking of right now is like Katie Roberts' Court of the Vampire Queen series, where I think they basically start foreplay on page 2. And I was just like, you know what? Thank you, Katie, because I really needed this. I did not want to have to go through like a slow burn situation. I just really wanted this to happen right away. And she gave that to me. Thank you, Katie Robert.
Yeah, which is very different from her Neon Gods.
I love that book. Yeah, I have that book, and I also read it on a beach, and I just remember just flying through it because the sex was, like, immediate. It was polyamorous. It was queer. It was, like, you really felt like this was a book that was built, like, different scenarios were created to engender various sex scenes in this way that I'm like, I just really appreciate this right now.
I really do. I really appreciate like the effort that Katie Robert went through with that book. I could tell she had a great time writing it. And you know what? I had a great time reading it.
Same. I enjoyed every minute of it and highly recommend it. Court of the Vampire Queen, you guys. It is very smutty.
It is lovely smut. Perfect smut. Actually, you know what? Just read Katie Roberts' books.
Hey, how are you? Ready to go for a run?
Running connects us to a rush of energy that flows through our world. The cheers of friends that unlock a new gear within us. The intersection of interests that inspires a run crew. The support that gets you over the finish line. Connection is why we move forward and what inspires us to keep going. Let's run there. Learn more at brooksrunning.com.
At IKEA, your dreams can come true. Well, maybe not the ones where you're being chased by a monster. We're talking about kitchen dreams. And there are IKEA products and solutions for all of them. Whether it's a whole new kitchen, a statement glassware set, or just new cutlery. If you got big dreams or small dreams in any size of budget, IKEA can help you bring them to life. Visit IKEA.us/dreamkitchen to learn more. Dream the possibility.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream Team. Get new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home. Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG. And right now you can get Disney Plus and Hulu for just $4.99 a month for 3 months with a special limited time offer. Ends March 24th. After 3 months, plan auto-renews at $12.99 a month. Terms apply.
So I want to talk for a minute about that, about what the audience wants from the writer and what the writer, like the contract you kind of make with romance readers. So I kind of feel like romance has a lot of tropes. It's a very well-defined genre. I feel very strongly as a romance reader, for the most part. I'm here for the happily ever after. What do you both feel about that?
Oh, God, no. If it does not have a happily ever after, it's not a romance.
Thank you. That's my contract. I'm like, I'm here because I need to not be in the world. And if these people can't fictionally make it, I can't make it.
I'm like, look, okay, I'm an emotional reader. And I feel like okay, if I want to put 100% of my emotions into a book, which I do, I commit 100%, I will feel all the feelings when I'm reading a romance book because I am assured that it will work out at the end. And if it doesn't, I'm sorry, I feel upset. I have been tricked before. I will never read an author who tricks me as a romance reader by trying to appeal to me as a romance reader because they want romance money or because they want the romance readership, and then do a tragic switcheroo there at the end that upsets me. I will never. I'm sorry. That author is
dead to me.
That's a betrayal. So yeah. So it's like I feel like I can emotionally invest more if I know it's gonna work out. And then, it's because I know that there's like this moment where it gets so bleak and I'm like, how is she going to pull this together at the end? How is it going to happen? And then they do, and it's great.
Right, because I think that the fact that you know how it's going to end adds to your enjoyment because you just see how are these people going to get back together? How is she going to pull this off? And you're just looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, like, you know who does it really well? Nalini Singh. She wrote the Psy Changeling series, and she also wrote this Archangel series. It starts with Angel's Blood. She's amazing. Just again, just read all of her books. Like, don't ask me for my favorite one; they're all my favorites. Just read all of them.
She's incredible, and she's just one of the most lovely humans as well. Just, I used to work with her and Elizabeth when I was in publishing in the UK, and she is just a lovely human. So is Elizabeth, obviously.
And yeah, she has one of the most consistently amazing romance careers, like a top romance authors like I've ever read, has just been consistently amazing for like literally decades. And every so often she writes a certain book where I feel like the romance is gonna be doomed because it's like the heroine is dying, we're all dying, somebody is sick, somebody's mind is gonna like explode. I don't know, like brain is going to explode because they have like a bomb in there or something like that. I don't know. This is Sight Changeling. This is Sight Changeling. It makes sense in context. I'm just like, how are they gonna survive this? And then she pulls it together. She always does it. I don't know how. Like magic, like magic.
It does. It feels like magic. It's like emotional magic. And like, have we all been in relationships where we're like, oh, I don't know if I can pull this off and have my happily ever after. And I am single right now. So it's a nice fantasy that this can happen. I also feel like, I feel like this is a little bit more nuanced for me, Jen, because I'm okay with when I'm reading a series, the happily ever after does not come at the first book. Like, I like to be strung along a little bit, like if it's like a romantasy with multiple books.
Yeah. As long as it comes at the end.
As long as the happily ever after happens at the end of the series, that's good. That's good. I could be strung along. You guys can. I'm like, I wanted to like reassure any authors listening who are writing romantasy where they have like a cliffhanger at the end of book 1, a cliffhanger at the end of book 2. Look, torture me. I want to be tortured. I just want when I get to the end of the series, I want to feel like when I was tortured, the pain was worth it at the end.
Yeah, same. You can edge me out. It's okay. Like, just keep it going. I will buy your book. I know some people have real strong feels about cliffhangers. I tried to make my book 1 of Enemy of My Dreams a cliffhanger, and everyone was like, no, thou shalt not. And I'm like, but there is a book 2, you guys. Anyway, I didn't. But I kind of, there's that book in my head that was Enemy of My Dreams cliffhanger edition that I wish I could have done. I also feel, this might be a controversial opinion, but I feel like I'm also okay with the happy for now because I love the enemies to lovers. This is kind of what I do in Enemy of My Dreams. What I just love is like 2 freight trains colliding on the same track and exploding, and there's fire everywhere, fire in the air, and everything is burning, and these are 2 people who potentially might break up and or kill each other within 5 years. But they are happy for now, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, as long as the ending is upbeat, a happy for now, a happily ever after, I'm good with either. Yeah, I just want to know that I can end it on some positive feels. And for some couples, the happily for now is that's the best you can hope for. They can hate each other. Yeah, they can hate each other in 5 years. It's like I don't have to know.
Right. I'm not writing the book where they break up. No.
Yeah, I don't have to imagine them in 5 years.
Exactly. I'm not writing the book 5 years into their marriage where it's like, this was a terrible idea. I just want to know right now, when this ends, everyone is in a good place. Great, move on. I don't want to imagine them having children and doing laundry and nope, I'm out.
It's always incendiary and passionate and perfect.
I just think one of the other things about romance that I've seen a lot is romance tends to be a much maligned genre, which fills me with rage. Why do you think that happens? Is it because of, the female gaze? Is it because of the readership?
I do think that misogyny plays a role, but I also think that puritanical culture plays a fair amount of role and does not get as much of an emphasis in discussions about it, because I do believe that, it's with romance, a lot of the discussions in romance, and probably the most, important discussions that happen in romance books, are pertain to questions around consent. And, it's always a big topic in a book, even when it's not a topic in a book. Consent comes up in almost every romance book that I read in some way or another. And so I do feel like, puritanical culture has a lot to do with maligning this emphasis on romance and like romance with, where sex is very frankly discussed. And that's something that romance has always done. Romance has always discussed sex very frankly. And I remember actually seeing a very interesting kind of like conversation between, I'm like trying to remember their names, but they are two older romance writers. I believe they're both dead now. Jackie Collins? Is it? No.
That sounds right. Jackie Collins, yeah.
And Barbara Cartland. And yeah, and they like represented the more sex positive, frank sex discussions, romance, and then Barbara Cartland is just like very well known for being kind of like a bit more of like the
fade to black.
yeah, that kind of thing. And so this has been a discussion kind of like in romance for a very long time. And I think it has to do a lot with like the fact that romance has kind of gone the way of like being more frank about sex. So the Barbara Cartlands are less prominent. That's more of a niche than the more kind of like frank discussions. And the smut especially has gotten quite popular in recent years. And so it's kind of like the one place it's like it's a place where you can kind of like comfortably discuss sex and comfortably discuss not just it's like pleasure within couples, different kinds of pleasure, polyamorous pleasure, why choose pleasure, like I don't know if either of you are into why choose, but
yes.
Oh, Jen is very into why choose.
I love why choose.
I'm selectively into why choose. Like it depends on the book, but yeah, I can be into it.
And I do think that a fair aspect of that is involved with like, female pleasure, just because female pleasure tends to be something that, is more controversial in our society when it comes to puritanical culture. It's often female pleasure that gets very like controversial and very covered up and that sort of thing. I mean, I come from a religious background, so
same. Very Catholic.
Evangelical, so I hear a lot about the sinners.
Well, I'm in the South now, so thankfully there's not a Jesus billboard across from my apartment right now, but sometimes there is.
Oh my gosh, so I am not from a religious background, and I live in Bushwick in Brooklyn, which you would think is not, I mean, it's a very diverse neighborhood, but I would not think this is a extremely puritanical neighborhood at all, but right down the street from me, I saw a billboard. There were actually two billboards. I'm going to put this on my Instagram at some point. One of them on top said, "Size matters." Beneath it, it said, "Shackled by lust,
Jesus set you free."
Jesus sets you free. That's right. And I'm just like, the obvious correct answer to that question is, can I be?
I know what to do with those shackles.
Is Jesus going to help me with that?
I mean, look, if you can think it exists.
So I have a question. Do you find a difference in like sort of how smutty your US editors audience expects you to be versus your British editors audience?
I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, I come from YA and they had me clean my YA up because there was sex in it.
At that time, like there was sex in YA. Like it was just starting, but it was happening.
And you know what it was? It was because they wanted to get it into Scholastic Book Club, and you do not have sex in Scholastic Book Club YA. It's a very like chaste. So I was asked to remove the sexual content from my YA series.
Then how did they get away with Graceling and Bitter Blue? Maybe they're not in Scholastic.
I think they were published by Scholastic, but I don't know if they were in Scholastic Book Club. I think Graceling did Graceling have sex in it?
Yeah, it does. It's a very short sex scene.
I don't know if it was in Scholastic Book Club. I only know that it's like sometimes they actually would produce a book, but like remove the sex for the Scholastic Book Club edition for some books. But sometimes they would produce like two different kinds of books, just like take some of the more controversial content out. Just I don't know why they didn't do that with mine, but anyway, yeah, the sex was removed. But I would say that they're both fairly fine on the adult side that I've been working with the language. Mostly they tell me I say fuck too much. And that I need to like parse my fucks better.
That's like me in exclamation points.
Yeah, I gotta be like careful. I gotta spread those. I gotta spread some. I gotta spread those fucks. I gotta So it's like, Elizabeth, you gotta take some of these fucks out, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay, I will put like I will try for 20 fucks. Can I have 20 fucks?
I put fuck in my novel all over the place, and I kind of struggled with whether I should invent and or research like more historically accurate swear words. And then I was like, nah, I'm just gonna say fuck.
Fuck is a great historically accurate swear word. It's a nice one. It's a favorite. It's a perennial favorite.
Exactly. It's an ancient word. Maybe it's Germanic. I don't know. Yeah.
It's a historically there's a reason that it's survived this long.
We find it everywhere in graffiti, in ancient graffiti. It probably does come from, with that sound, it probably comes from the Germanic side anyway. I don't think it's Latinate.
I do think that I have to think about, like the kind of language that I use in my historical romances just a bit, because the historical romance audience tends to be a bit interesting in how they approach filth talk. I tend to be when people read my books, even though I have downplayed it from my original draft, they're just like, this is filthy, this is vulgar, and it's probably because I use the word pussy. I mean, the fuck will give it, but specifically they hate the word pussy.
It's just so weird that like romance readers are getting upset that you wrote a vulgar, filthy book.
Yeah, it's because there's there are some people who see historical romance as being like Georgette Heyer kind of romance, and so like they think that all historical romance writers should be more like Georgette Heyer, who like didn't have sex in her books. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not Georgette Heyer, clearly. So, and I really like have no desire to be Georgette Heyer. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure that people love her very much, but she's not me. And there's gonna be some pussies in my book. Like
as there should be.
Oh my god, there was one person who got so mad at me for a sex scene in A Touch Wicked, and for some reason she was like really furious because it started off with the heroine, I don't know, sucking the hero's cock, and she was so mad that she was just like, this is not feminist. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, point he does reciprocate that, so I don't see the problem, but okay.
There's nothing wrong with starting off a sex scene with giving a blowjob. Like,
start as you mean to go on.
Like, right, exactly.
And I kind of feel like, I'm not really sure why, but for some reason my work always gets discussed in terms of like feminism. I think probably because of my own personal politics. And so it's just like, is this book feminist? And here's why it isn't, or here's why it's like, I don't even consider it feminist. I don't know why it's this. And it's just like, I didn't ask for these conversations to happen. I never said my work was feminist. I'm just here having fun writing it. Like,
I'm just writing smut over here and enjoying myself.
My entire motto with being a writer is, I'm just here to have a good time. There was one of my works, actually, my publisher decided to like run with like this was my sci-fi, so not a romance, but like with it being a feminist space opera, and it felt like every damn review was just like, is it a feminist space opera? I don't see why it's feminist other than the fact that it has all women in it. And I'm like, in sci-fi, having an all-woman cast is a pretty high bar that not many works meet.
I think that there is something inherently feminist about romance because it is all about women's desire, you know, and like where that takes us. And also women's desire is so policed all the time, and like policing it for being quote unquote feminist enough is like one form of that, in my opinion.
It's really interesting to see. I mean, because I definitely feel like, you know, a lot of people have different definitions of like what is and isn't feminist in a book. You see it in a lot of discussions around like, you know, around prominent works and whether or not prominent works are feminist. It's like I feel like there was like 10 years of discussions around Twilight and whether 50 Shades of Grey was feminist. It's like, you know, and I feel like it's interesting conversation to have, especially because so much of romance is around consent, which is something that feminists you know, discuss a lot. So it was just a very weird thing to criticize with regards to like to like starting off a sex scene.
So, do you have any absolute favorite tropes, potentially outside of sex, which we've already discussed? The one bed, the touch her and die, the grumpy versus sunshine, etc.
I have like I have, you know, these like micro tropes that I become kind of like obsessed with. I have this love for like himbo heroes. Like I love a golden retriever. I don't know why I have not written a proper golden retriever hero, but I love if it reminds me of the relationship dynamic in the movie The Mummy.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
Love it so much. You know what? Loretta Chase did a really good. She has a lot of golden retriever heroes. So if you ever want to read like an entire like backlist full of golden retriever heroes, Loretta Chase has a lot of really hot dumb men. I love him so much.
I named my dog after a golden retriever hero. In Emily Rath's Pucking Around, I named my dog Jake after one of the characters there because he's just a golden retriever. Me and our friend Liv from Myths Baby, when I got him, I was like, I don't know what to call him. I want to give him a mythology name, but he's not really a mythology dog. And she's like, yeah, he kind of reminds me of like, what's that guy from Pucking Around, that like golden retriever guy? And I was like, Jake? She's like, yeah, he's Jake. I'm like, okay, that's my dog, Jake. It's a lot of pressure on a tiny dog.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I really need to write like a golden retriever hero, but I love them so much. Like they're not brainy, they're not going to do mathematics on a chalkboard, but you know what? They will punch any guy who like upsets you. They will show up.
And they will show up. They are dependable.
Oh my gosh, yes, yes. But yes, Loretta Chase does them, like, she is, like, the absolute, like, best at them. One of her heroes, like, has this entire scene where he just, like, thinks he's being, like, super smoldering and, like, removing the heroine's glove finger by finger, like, so sexy, and then she just starts laughing at it. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, it was so good, Loretta Chase.
Before we let you go, do you have any romances you want to recommend? Any authors, anything you've read recently, or anything you want to plug?
I think we've just been doing that the whole time.
But to recap, my all-time favorites, Nalini Singh. Every book that she's ever written, like, I don't know, start anywhere you want. What does she do? She does rock star romances. She does paranormal romances. She's so good at everything. Just read her. And she does thrillers too. She's so good. And like don't be daunted by like the length of her series because there are like dozens of books, but don't be daunted. They're so good. And Lisa Kleypas is one of my favorite historical romance authors. Just like absolutely amazing. I just mentioned Loretta Chase, who is really good for like more comedic historical romances. Absolutely love her. For romantasy, I just read When the Moon Hatched by Sarah J. Parker, or Sarah A. Parker. And it's so good. It's dragons. And it's so sexy. Absolutely love her writing. She also did a book called To Bleed of Crystal Bloom, which I love. And they're both on Kindle Unlimited. She's self-published. And I absolutely love those books. So good. I have probably discussed others, but yeah, that's all I can think of right now. I have like so many.
So, To Cage a God, highly recommended. It's out now. Everybody should buy it and read it. That's my feeling.
Yes, and I also have a book called The Touch Wicked coming out under my Katrina Kendrick name, and that one has been described as more sex than plot. So,
yes.
That's definitely a need that we all have.
Where can people find you, Elizabeth?
I used to be on Twitter, but I am no longer on Twitter. So you can find me on Instagram at _ Elizabeth May. I am also on Threads as my Twitter replacement. So you can find me on there, also _ Elizabeth May, all one word.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been so much fun.
It really has.
Thank you for having me. It's been, oh my God, I'm so excited and so happy that you guys invited me because yeah, I'm like, if you guys like, romance is one of those things that I can discuss off the cuff for like hours and hours.
Same.
Same. We were just like, what questions should we ask? And then like we sat down and we're like, oh, this is easy. Like,
yeah.
What the problem is narrowing down the questions. That's the problem.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again. And thank you all for listening. And we will see you whenever we see you next.